Well, we got the news late on a Friday, which typically means tain't nothing to report about. People release things on Friday when they don't really have anything to say and don't really want anyone to be talking about it. Tuesday is a really good day. You'll notice, I don't know if it's still true, but typically Apple does big press releases and events on Tuesdays because they want to make sure that through the week everyone's talking about it. So there's a big push early in the week. By Friday, everybody's out partying. What was the story? I think the story from the Washington Post that came out was 6 p.m. yesterday. How many people just got home from work, they're kicking back, and they're not paying attention to what's going on? Well, the reason is, according to a senior DOJ official, I believe, no new indictments. Actually, let's pull up that story first. So this dropped at 6 p.m. yesterday on a Friday. Wow! After all these years, that's what you're gonna do us like that, Mueller? Come on. They say the Justice Department notified Congress late Friday that it received Mueller's report, but it did not describe its contents. Barr is expected to summarize the findings for lawmakers in coming days. In a letter, let's see, there we go. A senior Justice Department official said the special counsel has not recommended any further indictments. So what does that mean? It means quite a bit, not as much as many people would hope. So here's what's going to happen. A lot of people on the left who are Russiagate conspiracy theorists believe that Mueller doesn't think you can indict a sitting president. Therefore, the report may still claim Trump is a secret asset of the Russians. But I find that very hard to believe because if Trump was secretly colluding with Russia, there would be indictments for other people, not just a sitting president. So that argument falls flat. More importantly, Rachel Maddow was about to cry. Oh, man. Wow. This is terrifying. I'll tell you why. Yesterday, the video I made on my main channel was like a collection of just things I've been thinking about in terms of, over the past couple weeks, we've seen particularly Oliver Darcy of CNN advocating for the restriction of information. It is scary. We've seen anti-vaxxer documentaries pulled from Amazon, books banned. I'm no fan of anti-vaxxers. I think vaccines are very important. I think there's a lot of hype and horror around misinformation being spread online. And I think the misinformation spread online is part of our dystopia. I do. However, I remember when cigarettes were healthy. I remember when asbestos was safe. I remember when the EPA said the air was safe to breathe on 9/11. These same people on CNN and MSNBC who rant and rave about radicalization. It was The Atlantic, actually, who has a very high-profile Russiagate conspiracy theorist, hundreds of thousands of followers. It was The Atlantic who also wrote about, using fake sources to try and claim the radicalization on Instagram. And when I tried correcting them, they didn't listen, whatever. That was what my video was about. So these same people now, this is the reaction they have when they realize, for years, you've been peddling an utter nonsense. Stop listening to these people. Please, for the love of God. If Mueller's going to do an investigation, fine, but can we shut up and let him do an investigation? Now the report is in. It is extremely, extremely unlikely, considering there's no further indictments, there's any collusion. What does that mean? I'll paraphrase Glenn Greenwald, a left-wing journalist. There have been 0 indictments pertaining to Russian collusion in the 2016 elections. 0. The indictments we got were for lying to Congress, obstruction, other, stuff. I don't even care. Not collusion. And this is the reaction Rachel Maddow has. Now, a lot of people are saying she was crying. She wasn't crying. But damn if she wasn't about to, right? She was choking up. It scared me. It really did. And I tweeted something out that they're grazing really close to InfoWars territory. What do I mean by that? Alex Jones likes to say things on his show about like fifth dimensional aliens and all that stuff. And he gets beet red and he starts banging his arms up and down while yelling about it. Some of these things have a literal basis in reality, but Jones takes them to a strange place. For instance, on the Joe Rogan podcast, Alex Jones said that 5G was mutating people or something. Well, the article he cited, I looked it up. Yes, there has been an increase in tumor. A study found a higher likelihood of tumors from rats exposed to 5G. The place Alex Jones took it to is a little weird. So what do we have? Is there some concern over Russian meddling in the 2016 election? Oh, hands down. Absolutely. Foreign governments do this stuff all the time. Where does Rachel Maddow go with it? Beat red in the face, choke back tears, Russia, ah! And then when it comes out, there's not going to be any indictments. She's on the verge of crying. Well, good for her for not crying, but I was shocked to see whoa, dude. Whoa, calm down, man. How do you get this How do you get this unhinged? Right? MSNBC for years, Glenn Greenwald also tweeted. I'm not the biggest fan of Glenn Greenwald, by the way, but he's tweeted, he's got a lot of really good points. He's kind of like not too far off for me to be like, I don't like his reporting, but close enough to I'm like, okay, fine. I think some of the stuff he puts out is like, ugh, but he's got good criticisms. He said, I genuinely feel sorry for these people, the viewers of MSNBC, who for years have been peddled this insane conspiracy theory that the president was a Russian asset. Do you have any idea how insane that sounds? I remember back in the 2000s, 9/11 truthers, just adamant that Bush, they claimed that the president was secretly involved in some scheme to take down the towers and all that stuff. Now look, I know a lot of people who are involved in that stuff, some of which I used to be friends with and I'm not anymore, and some who I still am. And I think they hold pretty kooky views. I will say very easily, the official story of what the government said on 9/11 probably isn't true for one simple reason. You wouldn't expect the government to release classified information on how there was a massive security breach, which caused massive infrastructure damage on our country. So the official explanation probably isn't what literally happened. I wouldn't expect the government keeps secrets. Now, you have the inside job people and the Bush did it people, and I think that's where you've gone nuts. Something happened. I don't know what. There's the inconsistencies, all of that. Totally get it. I'm not an idiot. But I don't know what happened. What I do know is I think it's a huge, huge leap of faith to start pointing the finger at the president and accuse them of being an agent of some kind of organization to take down American interests. Oh my God. The world is not that exciting. Rachel, listen, the world is not that exciting. You would only hope that your president was a Russian asset because it would make things not boring. But I'll tell you what, the world is relatively boring. It really is. I've witnessed a literal revolution. And it was fun. It's fun in the sense of like, wow, I'm here. This is exciting. In Egypt, when I was working for Vice, I witnessed a revolution. I was watching the people from atop I was at the Hilton, one of the highest floors, looking down at people, thousands of people demanding the removal of their government, and they did it. It was a second revolution, actually. And it was amazing. And I was like, wow, I'm watching a revolution. I turned around, and there were a bunch of people sitting in chairs, eating, I don't know what they were eating. It was like Egyptian food, it was like lamb on a stick or something. And they're watching football, and I'm like, these people don't seem to care at all. Downstairs, there was a casino. You're not allowed to go to the casino if you're Egyptian because Muslims can't gamble. But there were foreign tourists just like, whatever, we don't care. And I thought, man, isn't it crazy that outside you can have this huge event and inside this building, literally like 1 block away, people watching sports, eating some meat, gambling, didn't care. Because the world is boring. It really is. We have to find meaning. And movies and video games, they make things seem way more exciting. And so I think what happens for people like Rachel Maddow, the reason why she's choking back tears is because her world is falling apart in front of her. Everything she believed, everything she was fed from this fervent, overzealous, insane bubble on Twitter, she believed it. There's a journalist I know who I met in New York about 1.5 years ago. We had talked online, and I was like, let's grab a drink and talk about this. And I said, I believe you're a real journalist, right? So, and they work for The Atlantic. And I said, do you think this story is true? And I was told, hands down, absolutely, 100%. It's all there. And I was like, really? You think Trump worked with Russia? 100%. Yes, it's going to come out. Wow. This person has hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter. Hundreds of thousands. Listen, I have hundreds of thousands of followers too. I get it. But I try to be more critical of these assumptions, regardless of who makes them, as opposed to asserting, I know it's true and I will be vindicated. It's possible. When the details of the Mueller report come out, we find out about impropriety, maybe violations of the emoluments clause. Trump maybe made some money or something like that to that effect. I think that's fair. But look at the reaction you have from people now. I didn't even read this, but you know what? So I'll say a few more things. We'll go a little bit longer. You look at the reaction to people saying, we don't need the Mueller report. We don't need the indictments. We know it happened. Impeach. And it's like, wow. You want to ban InfoWars for being misinformation. You want to ban anti-vaxxers for being misinformation. And you have CNN and MSNBC for years peddling this garbage. This is why you don't ban misinformation. Because then what are we going to do? We're going to ban CNN now? I'm sure a lot of people would love that. I wouldn't. And I understand maybe from while being facetious, many people on the right would laugh and say, yeah, absolutely. More worryingly, there's probably a lot of Trump supporters who would say absolutely ban CNN. But I think your average person who would laugh and say, yes, ban CNN, they're as bad as InfoWars, knows, literally, no, we absolutely shouldn't ban CNN. And that's the problem. When these people at these news organizations start ranting and raving about bad opinions and radicalization because, oh no, heavens to Murgatroyd, someone's posted an anti-liberal meme on Instagram. I kid you not, that's what Atlantic wrote about the other day. Atlantic wrote an article showing a page that made fun of liberals with 1 million followers, and they were shocked that young people were reading these things. Oh no, an opinion. They don't live in the real world. They want to ban this information. They think it's radicalization. What about this? What about all the people who are living huddled in fear, hiding in the corner because they thought their president was a Russian asset? Well, look, let's be a little more reserved. The report isn't public. We know that it's been reported by basically everybody. There's going to be no new indictments. Things change. I don't know how definitive it is that a senior Justice Department official said that there's no indictments. Maybe there could be other indictments. But it seems, as of right now, all signs, once again, point to no collusion. And it was just it was crazy. It really was. Where the Steele dossier come from? Comey, testified that he leaked information hoping it would get to it would lead to the appointment of a special counsel. My God, we live in Wall-E world. We really do. But you know what? Rachel Maddow has every right to go on her show and rant and rave and wiggle her arms in the air, shrieking about Russians and whatever. And so does Alex Jones. But these are the people who want to ban information, and it's worrisome. It really is. I'm not a fan of when it comes to Alex Jones, people often bring up his personal rhetoric, but there is something to be said about the rhetoric from other people who produce for Alex Jones as well. These kinds of conversations are worrying to me when I see some of the things that various organizations put out. I'm no fan of InfoWars, not at all. I think they have a right to make stories and talk about their feelings and express their opinions. So does Rachel Maddow, even if I think she's nuts. I think Alex Jones is nuts too. The fifth dimensional aliens thing, come on, man. It's funny, but kind of weird. But I got a few more things for you and we'll sign off. So we have this from the Gateway Pundit by Cassandra Fairbanks, who I know, full disclosure. This Twitter account, Carly Bond, tweeted, "She's crying, loosen my S." I'll say this really quickly. One of my pet peeves is when people spell losing wrong. It's L-O-S, not L-O-O. It's loose. It's losing, L-O-S, just so you know. But she posted this, and it's actually it's one of the better clips because you see Rachel Maddow choke back, and then the woman recording starts laughing and goes, "She crying," and it's funny. It's funny. The commentary makes it funny. Well, apparently Twitter suspended the account, which is insane. But I'm going to end with one last thing. There was a time-honored quote from someone, time-honored over the past few years. They said something very poignant. When Donald Trump was elected, an activist made a very important point, and I think it's all very important that we listen to what this person has to say to keep things in perspective.
What a great honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. With a gracious aid
I am so sorry.
For what?
My world. I am so sorry to my world. This is not what we want.
we will face challenges.
There's so much potential.
I hope you know I was kidding about a time-honored quote. That was the joke. But I'll point out one last thing in the next couple seconds. Whoa. We are developing a childlike society. Our millennial generation, our children, they haven't matured. And I think it's because these people are dare I say it, overly privileged, middle to upper class. They've experienced no hardship. I made a video about it the other day, the Charlotte Alter claiming that she hasn't faced prosperity because she ate fruit roll-ups as a kid. It's like, are you joking? Yeah, I was homeless when I was a late teenager, right? And so I think that's what shapes my world. I went through hardship. I've met people. I've talked to people. I've slept outside with no choice. I've gone hungry. And it gives you perspective. It strengthens you. Struggle makes you stronger. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It's somewhat of a silly saying, but you get the point. I look at these people and I'm like, man, they haven't dealt with anything. So literally the worst thing in the world to them is that somebody they didn't like with a bad opinion is elected, and they compare him to Hitler like they did. They did the same thing to Obama and the same thing to Bush, and it's like, oh, good Lord. Everybody's nuts. But you know what? It's something weird. It's something really, really weird to see this reaction. This terrifies me. These people are dangerous. They're dangerous because they react emotionally and they have knee-jerk reactions. They ban books. They ban speech. They're terrified of everything. These are dangerous people. They're not going to make you safer. They're going to make you scared and unsafe because you won't know how to deal with the real world. I have you know what? I'll give you one last thing. I was thinking about a sci-fi dystopian novel I could write today. You know, we look at Fahrenheit 451. We look at Brave New World in 1984. And I'm like, those are great. You know, we're seeing a lot of those things happen today. But I got a better idea. The year is 2130. Everybody is wearing gray jumpsuits. They have shaved heads. No, there's no such thing as gender pronouns anymore because all of them are offensive always. And the police use mean words to police because words are violence. And so now we've done away with physical violence. And you have these little people walking around, and the invading, you know, the SWAT police come in to quell a riot and start calling them mean names. And they all recoil in terror, fall to the ground, and start shrieking, "Oh, I'm being insulted." And the joke I'm trying to make is that, look at the reaction to this. You know what would drive me to having a reaction like that is like watching a loved one be executed or something. Or like watching, I don't know, like a building collapse after a terror attack. Not some guy I don't like who's got orange skin got elected president. Oh, wow. I'll have another video for you guys at 1 p.m. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you then.